Welcome back to Growing Out Loud, the podcast from me, Good Breath of Intuitive Knowledge. It's been a while. When I started this podcast last year, I was not expecting to take an elongated break. It's not why I started the podcast, yet that's exactly what happened. I had to take a break. And so I'm here to share with you why I took that break, but also what I did to move me through what we were experiencing. So let me take you back to 2024. We experienced a lot of grief as a family last year. My uncle transitioned, my grandmother transitioned, two cousins transitioned, and it was a lot. It was a lot. And so I needed to take some time to process what we were experiencing as a family, but also to be able to apply what I've learned over these last 10 years and also share that with other people within the family that were going through it, that were really experiencing the turbulence of grief. And so I want to share with you what I took myself through, how I brought myself through such immense and compounding grief, and how I supported others. And I pray that it supports you too, no matter what it is you're experiencing in life, that you know that nothing is permanent, everything is transitory, whether it's life or the experience or the emotion or the success or the failure or the low or the high, everything is temporary, nothing is permanent. And so whilst in the moment it can feel like it's permanent, it really isn't, which actually brings me on to this point. Allow yourself to feel the emotions fully. Allow yourself to feel the emotions whenever they come up, whatever they might be. Feel them fully. Emotions, when felt, last about 2 minutes within the body. Emotions are energy in motion. They are an energetic charge released by your brain based on the experience that you're having within you as a reaction to an external circumstance. That charge runs through the body, lasts 2 minutes, and then is released. What keeps us stuck is trying to suppress the emotion, trying to avoid the emotion, trying to bypass the emotion because we're scared of feeling it fully. But if you feel it, you'll release it. Does that mean you're not going to feel it again? No. But each time you allow yourself to feel the emotion, you move through it with less and less intensity. You move through it with more and more ease. So that's the first piece of advice I'm going to give you. Allow yourself to feel what comes up. And there is no shame in feeling happy. There is no shame in laughing through grief. There is no shame in finding joy through grief, because that is the way you're going to move through it. So feel what you need to feel. Feel good when you laugh. Feel okay when you cry. Just move through. Feel what you got to feel and move through. The second thing I reminded myself of is that energy cannot be created or destroyed. Everything in the universe is made up of the same one energy, the same one consciousness. Everything is made up of that same one thing, and that same one thing cannot be created. It cannot be destroyed. It simply changes form. So we as spiritual beings are moving in and out of form. There's only one guarantee we come with in life, and that is that we have to die. That is that life comes to an end. But it's actually a continuation. It's actually a movement of consciousness in and out of form. Eastern scripture backs this up and science backs this up. Nothing ever really dies. Everything is in a continuous motion, is continually evolving in and out of itself. So does anybody ever really die? I don't think so. I believe that spirit is everything, and you can connect to spirit in any way, shape or form. But the highest spirit is the oneness. And actually, this belief feels good. It feels true and it feels real. I reminded myself of that. It allowed me to move through. Number 3, what we focus on expands. And so when we focus on an idea, when we focus on a thought or a feeling within us, or even an external circumstance, we actually compound and make that feeling bigger within us. And it just kind of magnifies. And so if we get hyper-focused on the experience, if we get hyper-focused on feeling a certain way, well, then we expand that. And so I didn't allow myself to dwell in grief. It goes back to the original point, which was I allowed myself to feel what I was feeling, and then allowed myself to experience something different. I remembered that when we recall something, when we experience something on the inside, the body is actually experiencing it as if it's happening now. And so I did my best to remind myself of every time that feeling of grief shut up, that actually, let's come back to the now. This has happened already. We've been here. This is where people can start to bypass. And I'm suggesting that you don't. I'm suggesting that you just listen in for a sec. So if focus expands, and if I keep thinking about my grief, that is just going to compound the feeling of grief, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger. There is nothing I can do in this situation to change it. There is nothing I can do apart from how I'm showing up. There's nothing I can do to help the situation. And so there's an element of surrender that's involved. Surrendering to a greater story, surrendering to a greater power, surrendering to the one that knows, the being that's in charge of all of this, the divine one, God, universe, source, whatever you want to call it. Being able to surrender to that almighty power and say, I have no idea, I have no control, but I'm trusting you're in charge. And so I'm asking you to handle what's happening with me and handle all of this. And I'm asking you to guide me. And in that allowing of focusing on something greater, you expanded that awareness of that greatness, of that oneness. And from there, and this is the bit where people might struggle, I still allowed myself to think about where it is that I want to go in my life, what it is that I want to do in my life, how it is that I want to show up in the world, what the impact is that I want to create, what it is that I want to do with this gift of life. Because is there ever a more profound moment to think about what it is that you want to do intentionally in your life than when somebody that you love has transitioned over to the other side? Is there a more appropriate time to practice the gifts of mindfulness and spirituality and mindset work and emotional awareness than when you're actually challenged? Because it's really easy to do all of this stuff when things are going great. But what do you do when the tides of life hit? What do you do when the turbulence of the waves hit? What do you do? And so it's these little things that if we just start to pack into our awareness, they help shift our entire experience of life. And so truly, it really doesn't matter what is happening in your world. Your experience of it can change based on where you place your attention, can change based on how you choose to think about things. It changes based on how much you absorb this information and practice this information. I want to share with you a story that helps incorporate some of this so that you can see how it works, so that you can allow yourself to do the same no matter what your challenge is. So last November, when I found out my cousin had passed, I literally got on a plane and I went home to England. Had to leave my dog at home with my husband. And after about 18 days, I was feeling kind of challenged. I was feeling a little bit like I needed that emotional connection, like I needed my little bud with me. And so nothing is ever missing. The universe is ever present, always, cannot be created or destroyed, is always changing form. So I went inside, I went inwards, and I spoke to the universe and said, I would love to experience Hari somehow. And I don't know if you can hear him, but he's snoring in the background. I asked the universe for a representation of Hari. Within, I want to say 2 minutes, a dog walks by with the same harness, the same colour that Hari wears. And I was like, oh, thank you, God. I received that. The following day, I was like, universe, I'd love another sign of Hari. I would love another sign of Hari. And hundreds of yards away, a dog spots me and runs right towards me with a ball in its mouth and drops it at my feet. And I look at the owner and I just give him a thumbs up, like, can I play with your dog? And he was like, yeah, you can. So I'm there and I'm playing with this dog for a good 20 minutes. Amazing. Thank you, universe. I love that. I'd love another one. I'd love another representation of Hari. And this is the one that blew me away. My cousin's niece came downstairs and she was wearing a t-shirt and it said her name on it. And her name was Hari, spelled backwards. It's Ira. That was all I needed to remind me that I'm on the right track, that this stuff is real, and that no matter what the challenge is, no matter what the experience is, you are always in control of how you are experiencing it within you. You are always in control of your inner dialogue. You are always in control. And when you feel out of control, it's time to take a step back, a step in, and recognize what the dialogue is. Are you suppressing something? Are you avoiding thinking about something? Are you overthinking about something? Are you thinking about things from a deeply human lens? Is there any room for spirituality there? You get to check in with you. I know in the transitions of people, it can feel like life is happening to us. I've never been more certain that life is always happening for us. And life and death, they are just processes. Death is a part of life. If you're here, you got to go back wherever it is that we came from. So if we stopped resisting the idea that death is a part of life, we wouldn't feel so attached to life. We won't feel so gut punched and sucker punched when somebody transitions. So allow yourself. I've actually taken to looking at Hari and reminding myself that he's a guest in my life and I'm a guest in his life. It makes me sad a little bit sometimes, but it also allows me to remember that nothing in this life is permanent. Not your suffering, not the winds, but everything is in a constant state of flow. Energy is always moving in and out of form. You get to choose the form based on how you're thinking and feeling. I hope this really supported you in some way, shape or form to move through any of the challenges you might be experiencing. Be courageous. What are you feeling? Truly go inwards. And how can you shift your attention and your focus onto something else? How can you choose to view this from a different perspective? How can you choose to connect to the highest, greatest, deepest, grandest, truest version of yourself? I hope this helped. It really does help me to remember these things. And it doesn't matter what the challenge is, whether it's transition or not. It might be something going great in the business or not. It might be a relationship I'm having. But I always remind myself of these things. I hope they help you, and I can't wait to catch up with you next week. I'm back now and we've got loads of good stuff to share with you. Stay blessed, stay well. I'll see you next time.